The budget axe may soon swing at NASA, wiping away 28,000 jobs. We'll explain how that will affect our local NASA Lewis Research Center.
Snorers and those forced to listen to the noise may soon get some relief.
And she shared her knowledge of sex with thousands. Dr. Judy joins us. Live on 5 is next.
From News Channel 5, Cleveland's live 24-hour news source continues.
Good evening. Here we go again. That's what NASA employees at the Lewis Research Center are saying tonight.
While officials say nothing is written in stone, a plan unveiled today calls for phasing out a total of 1,500 Cleveland jobs by the year 2000. As News Channel 5's Jacqueline McLean reports, there's still a chance Lewis and other NASA centers could close.
Right now, it is business as usual. But for how long? Reporters and the top brass at NASA's Lewis Research Center sat in on a live news conference. The head NASA chief is talking about NASA's future. The news is both reassuring and alarming. NASA Administrator Daniel Golden says if Congress doesn't ask for any more budget cuts, no NASA centers will have to close. But if they do,
we will have to consider shutting down a combination of enterprises, programs, and centers, and lose the vitality and vibrancy of the NASA program.
Under NASA's plan now, the Lewis Center will have to trim 1,100 contractor jobs and 400 civil service, all by the year 2000.
I don't anticipate any firing as we move through the years, if we can manage to the numbers we currently have.
That would suit the 4,600 employees at Lewis just fine, but a lot of the workers are fed up.
We've been working for 2 years trying to find out how to streamline, how to downsize. We've come up with a plan now, and all of a sudden, it doesn't matter how good our plan is that we've tried to formulate. What counts is saving dollars.
More than likely, NASA employees will have to wait out the summer before they hear anything definite. There are far too many uncertainties right now to say what will happen and what won't. In the meantime, employees will go on about their daily work, even though officials here admit that morale is at one of its lowest points. At the Lewis Research Center, Jacqueline McLean, News Channel 5.
NASA's proposing to cut 28,000 jobs nationwide. Out of all the 10 NASA centers taking hits, Lewis faces the second highest reduction.
A memorial service for some of the 167 victims of the Oklahoma City bombing was held today. Attorney General Janet Reno was on hand to participate in a moment of silence and a tree planting ceremony to honor the 12 federal agents who are among the dead. Reno met with investigators, prosecutors, and victims' families. A defense team for bombing suspect Timothy McVeigh plans to inspect the bombed-out building this weekend. The shaky structure is scheduled to be demolished on Tuesday.
The man driving the car carrying 3 Akron children who died after hitting the back of a tractor trailer appeared in court today. Ted Copperman pled no contest this morning in Akron Municipal Court. Copperman was found guilty of driving with a suspended license and failing to put the children in seat belts. Copperman was fined $50 plus court costs and received a 30-day suspended jail term. It's Christmas in May for 3 young Sheffield Lake boys now in foster care after their parents are accused of abuse. We first told you this disturbing story last month. Officers say their mother and her boyfriend kept the 3 brothers from going to school and beat them for spilling food or didn't feed them at all. Well, today, students in Sister Eileen's class at St. Thomas Elementary in Sheffield donated lots of toys and food and clothes for the boys. Many of them say they did it because they felt the parents weren't treating them right.
The parents were being mean and nasty, and they were abusing the kids. And when they were eating and they didn't choose with their mouths closed, the parents would just drop their food on the ground.
I don't think anybody should be treated like that. I think they should be treated with kindness.
How they are treated shouldn't be what they should be treated. They should be treated like other people should be.
The students also collected more than $200 for the boys.
There's a noise at your door, and you find a demolition crew ready to tear down your home. News Channel 5's Barbara Meek reports that happened to an Akron man who says he didn't know the house was going to be demolished.
7 o'clock in the morning. They're kicking in the door. I'm sleeping in here. He goes, well, you'll go down right with the house.
I asked him if he would peacefully leave the house 3 different occasions, and he said that we would have to kill him to take him from the house.
That's how it went yesterday when a wrecking crew showed up at Joe Hochren's house. Hochren actually lives next door, but says he's been taking care of the house in question for 10 years and has spent a lot of time there.
Because he was putting himself in peril by being there.
But Akron housing officials say the place is dangerous with collapsed ceilings and large gaps in the roof. After trying for several years, they say they finally were able to order the house demolished.
It was, in fact, deemed to be unsafe and should come down.
All that's left is a bare lot. It took about a half hour and the house was gone. But the Hochreins say so are many of their things.
This is the little bit we got to save.
Hochren says he lost a refrigerator, a clothes dryer, and lots of other things to the wrecking ball. He says he only had 45 minutes to get everything out. But the housing inspector says he didn't just stand by and watch.
To facilitate the demolition, I personally helped him lift the heavier items, which he placed in his garage.
With the house gone, there's not much left to argue about, except for who told whom it was coming down. In Akron, Barbara Meek, News Channel 5.
Housing officials say they notified the owner the house would be demolished. The owner appealed but lost. Hochrein is now trying to get reimbursed for the items he lost.
Well, if you've seen the movie Jurassic Park, you know all about insects trapped in amber, and you know that in the movie they were really developed into live dinosaurs. Now a similar real-life story has the scientific world agog. No, these 30-million-year-old bees trapped in ancient tree sap aren't going to somehow become walking, growling T-Rexes.
There's no way that anyone could reconstruct a dinosaur or even a bacterium just from DNA alone. It's just not possible.
But Dr. Raul Cano of California Poly says he's brought some of the bees' bacteria back to life.
We are recovering ancient microorganisms that are ancestors to the modern ones.
Skeptics in the scientific world say what Cano has found isn't live 30-million-year-old bacteria, it's just modern-day contamination. Cano says at first his team thought the same thing, but
we just had to tighten our pants and just go to work and figure out, how we can show that these organisms are either coming from the amber or they're coming from the laboratory as a contamination.
Good Morning America's science editor explains the newly revived bacterial spores.
They are little round things that contain all the makings of a bacteria. Think of them as seeds, except that they have this kind of armor-plated outer skin that allows them to survive everything: radiation, high pressure, boiling water, freezing temperatures. I mean, it's no wonder that bacteria are the oldest living things on Earth. No wonder we can't wipe out bacterial diseases.
Experts say the discovery could open the way for huge advances in developing antibiotics. Someday.
Such a fascinating story, though, isn't it?
Someday there'll be a dinosaur.
Certainly sparks your imagination. We had such a spectacular day today.
Wonderful day today. We first should say that Don Webster is out promoting a golf tournament. We hope to have him later in the program, but you're right. Beautiful day.
A pretty sorry excuse to be out on a golf course.
Oh, yeah, beautiful. You expect him to be in here?
Not a surprising excuse, but a sorry excuse.
Yeah, I'll tell you, beautiful stuff. Yeah. Unfortunately, severe weather still raging over a good portion of the country, and thankfully, we have missed it. We had the rain yesterday, but parts of the United States picking up tornadoes, severe thunderstorms, large hail, and it still continues right now. Over to the radar screen we go to show you what's happening across the United States, and you see now under the gun is the southeastern United States with big thunderstorms rolling through there. Luckily, we've got clear skies here and beautiful weather for at least the next 24 hours. Got a great weekend in store. Might see a little bit of rain on Sunday, but right now everything looks pretty good. You see the severe weather taking place across the southeastern United States. Nothing for us to worry about, just a few scattered showers well to the west of us. Around the area, 68 in Cleveland, 66 in Akron, Canton, Youngstown, 67, same mark at Mansfield and at Pittsburgh, and you look across the entire region, no rainfall to be found anywhere, just a beautiful afternoon that's going to turn into a gorgeous evening across the area. Forecast for tonight on the waters, west winds 5 to 10. Going to be a nice night out there, waves 1 to 3 feet. That water temperature, by the way, up to 53 degrees. Now tomorrow, winds will be out of the west once again, but climbing to 10 to 20 knots. Waves will be 2 to 4 feet. For those of you staying inland, tonight we'll see clear skies, west winds at 5 to 10. Our low temperature only 45 degrees with the sunrise at 6:05. And for tomorrow, sunshine early in the day with some afternoon cloudiness building in and a possibility of some showers late in the evening. West winds 5 to 15 and a high temperature of 78 with that sun going down at 8:43. All right, let's check out our weather school question for the day. I told you guys would enjoy this. The first thing you should do if a tornado approaches your home is A, take cover in a basement, closet, or bathroom. B, open a window to equalize pressure. Or C, grab your camcorder and get some video.
You know what that video is worth?
It's not worth your life.
Worth a few bucks.
Boy,
It's not
really
worth
hard
your
to read
life.
those
Is that a
questions.
hint?
Well, I'm just saying. We'll have the answer coming up in just a little bit. Watch the screen, and hopefully we'll be able to get Don in here in just a little bit.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, Brandon.
All right.
Thanks.
She heats up the radio waves, answering all kinds of questions about sex. Coming up at 5:40, Dr. Judy, the woman known by many as the sex doctor, joins us live.
At 5:55, a woman is forced out of her home for 6 months. We'll tell you why.
And at 6 o'clock, area school children hope the power of the pen will work for them. We'll explain why they're writing to a parole board.
But coming up next, it is loud and can keep you up all night. We're talking about snoring, and now there's new hope for snorers and those forced to listen to it. Details next, live on 5.
Millions of Americans will not get a good night's sleep tonight, not because something's wrong with them, but because they sleep with a snorer. 21 million Americans, they say, are habitual snorers. But as News Channel 5's Deborah Lee tells us, there's new hope for them and for the people who share their space.
Doctors call it social snoring, the loud vibrating sound produced by an obstruction in the back of the throat. It not only disrupts the snorer's sleep patterns, but keeps everyone else in the house awake. This man's wife is a snorer.
It sounds a little like similar to pig snorting. It has that type of a...
Snoring can be so loud even the neighbors can hear, as was the case of this California woman whose neighbor filed a loud noise complaint against her last year. Here in Cleveland, doctors are using an outpatient laser procedure to quiet habitual snorers.
What it amounts to is taking out the uvula.
Far less tissue than is removed in traditional surgery. It's called laser-assisted uvulopallatoplasty, or layup. Dr. Marshall Strome performs the procedure here at Cleveland Clinic.
There's no bleeding, very controlled, and very precise.
Now, there is a downside to this procedure. First of all, it hurts, and you may not get the results you want in just one sitting. Dr. Strome says this procedure isn't for everyone. 85% of the patients selected for this procedure are happy with the outcome. For them and their families, it means a good night's sleep. In Cleveland, Deborah Lee, News Channel 5.
Dr. Strome's procedure will be featured on ABC's 2020 tonight at 10 here on News Channel 5. Well, tomorrow morning, News Channel 5 launches the Weekend Exchange. Let's join Lee on the set with Leon Bibb now. Lee?
Thank you, Roy. A wonderful new way to wake up your weekend mornings. And Leon Bibb is going to be here every Saturday and Sunday morning with the Weekend Exchange starting tomorrow.
8 o'clock is the time.
Yes.
I'll be here.
You're right.
Right on this set.
You'll probably be here until then.
I probably will be here straight through until then.
Well, now, what kind of a program can viewers expect?
Well, the Weekend Exchange, we're going to slow down the pace a little bit. We're going to cover the news, of course, but we're going to slow it down a little bit, Lee, and we're going to stretch those stories out a little bit more. And we're going to show a lot of stories that really speak to the human drama of living in Northeast Ohio. We're going to explore stories like the Cuyahoga River. We're going to explore stories like what's happening up and down East 9th Street. We'll slow the pace down, look for a lot of positives in our Northeast Ohio area. And for the hour and a half, we'll have longer stories, more in-depth stories, more reflective stories. And we'll do the news as well, and the weather.
Certainly. It sounds like you'll have the opportunity to do stories on the more pleasurable aspects of living in the Cleveland area.
I think so. Susan Davies will be joining us. She's brand new here to Channel 5, newer than I am, in fact. And she's brand new to Channel 5. She's going to handle the weather duties and environmental reporting. That's her specialty, environmental science. Jim Hooley will be here of News Channel 5. He will handle the field anchoring duties. He'll be out in the hinterlands, and he'll be out and about with a live camera. And Jacqueline McLean, new reporter, will be working with us as well, and she'll be recording, covering a wide variety of topics affecting life and living in Northeast Ohio.
Great team of people working together. Now, can you give us an idea of what we'll see tomorrow morning?
Tomorrow morning, one of the things we're going to do is we're going to profile the Cuyahoga River. That's my little baby, my little nest that I've got. I'm going to profile the Cuyahoga River and show that it is more than just a party area along the flats. It's a working man and working woman's river.
It's a way of life for many
Exactly.
people.
And everybody we talk to who is in this part of it has dirt underneath the fingernails. We've been on barges, we've been on tugboats, we've been down by the steel mills, we've been all in that area of people who make a living on the Cuyahoga River. Jim Hooley is going to be reporting live from North Coast Harbor to show us how the harbor is going these days, and we'll have Susan is going to handle the new Clean Water Act and its impact on Northeast Ohio, and Jacqueline McLean is going to have a report on how cops train for hot pursuit. Certainly it is a controversial topic of when cops go speeding through the area after the bad guys, but they have to be trained on how to drive those police cars at whatever kinds of speeds they reach. Yeah. So we'll be looking at that. We run from 8 to 9:30 on Saturdays and from 8 to 9 o'clock on Sundays.
Well, so when you pour your cup of coffee tomorrow morning, sit down with Leon and the gang, and fascinating mix of stories. I'll look forward to the Cuyahoga River story. Sounds like it might be one to inspire some of your poetic phrases.
I think we'll have a little bit of, we will throw in a little bit of that. And then when you fix your cup of coffee there at the kitchen television, put a cup of coffee on for me as well. I'll need it.
We can supply plenty of that here.
I bet you can.
All right. Leon, thanks so much.
Oh, thank you.
It's really great to have you here with us.
Good to be here.
All right. Have a good weekend.
We will. A working weekend.
Let's go back to Roy.
Thanks, Lee. One of the highest-ranking women in the Navy is from right here in Northeast Ohio. We'll meet her and continue our look behind the scenes of Military Week on Wheel of Fortune. On board the carrier Dwight D. Eisenhower next, live on 5. Well, it's Armed Forces Week on Wheel of Fortune, and what better place for the #1 TV game show to be than the carrier Dwight D. Eisenhower in Norfolk, Virginia. I was there a few weeks ago when the shows were taped, and guess who I found on the Ike? One of the highest-ranking women officers in the Navy, and she's from Medina.
It's a big event for the ship.
It is indeed. The Ike, with 5,000 men and women on board, is one of the largest ships in the world. And Commander Jan Silva Hamby, Medina High School class of '76, is Assistant Operations Officer. The Navy has a reputation in some circles for discriminating against women.
We did have some black ice, which I personally feel the media took and ran with and made more of an issue out of some of those items than really was merited. Generalizing, there are some traits that women have that can be very ably used in this kind of environment. The ability to collaborate, the ability to cooperatively build teams, to listen, to communicate. Those are skills that are generalized to women, and they're very helpful in this setting.
We'd been told we couldn't take cameras onto the Ike's bridge, but when you're with a commander, you can go anywhere. This is where Kirk Douglas sits.
This is the captain's chair. It's the best seat in the house.
Yeah. This is the nerve center of the ship, am I right, or is there another one?
This is the nerve center as far as where the ship is going and the orders to the helm, rudder orders to the engines for engine revolutions for the speed through the water and so forth.
Can you get the president on one of these, if he had to?
If you had to, with some effort on our end and at the other end of the circuit, you could actually get a radio circuit wired in.
In a nearby room, a mock-up of the deck of the Ike with model planes.
To land, catch the wire.
While out on the 1,000-foot-long flight deck,
she would have anywhere upwards of 30 or more aircraft on the deck, engaged in a very carefully planned out choreography, moving aircraft into position for launch and then preparing for recovery. We have 4 catapults. There are 2 that are off the bow, 2 that are off the angle deck, or the waist deck as we refer to it. We will be shooting aircraft off about 1 every minute or so.
And after all these years, there's still just a cable out here and a hook on the plane,
just a cable and a hook on the aircraft. What will happen is the aircraft is going to, depending on day or night time, they'll either come around in a 180 pattern or they'll come in on a straight-in pattern. They'll have their hook down, and unlike civilian aviation or aviation where you're landing on a ground field, they will come in at full power. They'll have their hook down, they will slam into the deck, and hopefully the hook will catch one of the wires.
And if it doesn't, they've got all power going.
That is why they are at full power.
And
they will go
again.
back to full power, and they'll continue to shoot right off the waist and we refer to that as a bolter.
It's a floating airport, plus all of the support buildings, plus all of the maintenance.
It's an entire floating city. There's not many things that you could mention in most typical cities that you would not find on board this ship in some form or another.
Commander Jan Hamby of Medina, with a husband and 2 children back home in Washington, D.C., and 15 years in the Navy behind her.
I think of myself as very fortunate to have been in the right place at the right time. Somebody else opened up the doors. I was there standing, waiting, was able to step through them and maybe keep the door open for people behind me.
By the way, Commander Hamby had been chosen to be a contestant on Wheel of Fortune. Just before the show, the contestants, and I didn't know this, they picked ping pong balls to actually decide who gets to play because they need some alternates, and she picked the wrong color. She wound up being an alternate and didn't get on the show. I don't see how they could not have her on the show, but...
Well, I love the tour, and I really like the ATM at sea.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah,
I wanted to be sure to show that, because there were 4 of us out there.
Just one on the ship? They have to have more than one.
They're everywhere.
No.
Now, what you spend the money on that boat, I have no idea. There's nothing to spend money on.
Maybe in port or something.
Just walk around with it.
Well, we have gorgeous weather today, and that means Don is on a golf course. We'll take you live to the course for his 5-day forecast.
A pilot is convicted of bombing a city with toilet paper rolls. We'll tell you his sentence.
And a hotel is evacuated after some New York police allegedly go on a drunken rampage. Details when Live on 5 returns.
You're watching Live on 5 with Lee Jordan and Roy Weisinger and Don Webster with the weather.
And if you're just joining us at 1:30, welcome.
Here's a look at the day's top stories. A plan unveiled by NASA today calls for the phasing out of a total of 1,500 Cleveland area jobs by the year 2000. NASA is proposing to cut 28,000 jobs nationwide.
A memorial service for some of the victims killed in the Oklahoma City bombing was held today. Attorney General Janet Reno spoke with investigators and victims' families. Reno was on hand to participate in a tree planting ceremony and a moment of silence to honor 12 federal agents who were among the dead.
A man staying in an Akron home is told to leave as a wrecking ball prepares to demolish the house. Joe Hockram cared for his neighbor's home for over 10 years, but when the city came calling, they wanted to knock on more than just the door.
Yesterday morning, you're sleeping, and then...
7 o'clock in the morning, they're kicking in the door. I'm going, I'm sleeping in here. He goes, well, you'll go down right with the house.
Hockram was given some time to get his belongings out of the home, but some were demolished along with the house. The city says it gave notice to the homeowner about the demolition and says the house is being torn down because of dilapidated living conditions.
State troopers made an unexpected find when they stopped a car on Interstate 90. Thousands of packs of cigarettes headed for Michigan. And as News Channel 5's Roosevelt Leftwich tells us tonight, cigarette smuggling is becoming big business these days.
Almost anything is carried on the highways these days. Most legal, some things not so legal. Troopers from the Chardon Post stopped a car with Michigan tags for weaving on the highway. When they searched the trunk, they found these, more than 400 cartons of cigarettes.
They were just trying to be good businessmen and save a couple dollars. They stated they didn't realize it was illegal.
You see, Michigan raised its cigarette tax by $7.50 per carton, one of the highest in the nation. And that has opened up a lucrative cigarette trade.
Well, just how prevalent is smuggling cigarettes? Well, think of it this way. Michigan authorities say that even some drug runners are bringing in cigarettes these days because, one, the penalties aren't so severe if you're caught, and two, it can be just as profitable.
Buyers are purchasing cigarettes at Indian reservations near Buffalo, New York, and carrying them by car or rental truck to Michigan. That way, they can beat the tax.
In Ohio and every other state except Michigan, each state affixes a tax stamp to the bottom of the pack. So if you would go to a local store here and buy a pack of Marlboros, you would see the Ohio state tax seal on the bottom. So that's how you can tell by just looking at the pack of cigarettes that no tax has been paid on them.
Neil says this is the third cigarette bust in Lake County in a month. And as long as there's a buck to be made, there'll probably be a lot more to come. Near Chardon, Roosevelt Leftwich, News Channel 5.
More than 1,200 cartons of cigarettes have been seized so far this year.
You've heard of kids TPing a house, draping toilet paper from the trees. Well, a pilot could be looking at jail time for TPing a whole town in Kansas. Ted Henry joins us from our 24-hour newsroom with all the details. Ted, good afternoon.
Lee, how badly I wish we had pictures to show you about this story, but regrettably we do not. What a sight it must have been. The case has unraveled on a 36-year-old Texas pilot, so to speak. A judge in Independence, Kansas, found him guilty of littering and refusing to take a breath test. Police say after drinking with his friends, the pilot, he purchased a 4-pack of toilet paper, white, I think, and took to the skies, TPing a good part of the whole town. He could now spend 7 months in jail and face a $1,000 fine for spreading too much toilet paper around. They're accused of going on a drunken rampage at a Washington hotel. What a mess this was. Wait till you hear who we're talking about. Groping women all over the place, firing guns into the air, and get this. We're talking about cops here. Police officers. About 100 of New York's finest policemen are under investigation for turning the Washington Hyatt Hotel into a scene of wild chaos. The officers were in Washington to attend services for a fallen comrade. A police officer says that some heads are going to roll. Take a look at this. Several elephants went on a rampage outside of a shopping mall in Hanover, Pennsylvania, crushing cars, crushing through store windows, crushing just about everything in its path. The elephants were in town for a circus and got scared after somebody honked their horn. Fortunately, nobody was injured. Some scary moments for a well-known rap artist at the L.A. Lakers game. Rapper Tone Loc collapsed after a halftime game of musical chairs with other celebrities. The performer was rushed from the arena on a stretcher and taken to a nearby hospital. Emergency crews say that he suffered a seizure and he was treated, and eventually he was released. And fans of the thriller Michael Jackson are turning to radio stations to hear the first cut from his brand new album. The song called Scream was released to radio stations earlier today, in fact. This is Jackson filming the music video for the song. The song is off his new album, History, His Story, which hits record stores on June 20th. And his producer says it's Jackson's most personal album yet. I can only imagine what the lyrics are all about, but we'll find out soon, won't we, as we rush out to probably buy up those CDs. Back to you, Lee.
All right, thanks. Well, let's go back to the links.
Yep, Don Webster's out there trying to hit the metal driver straight out at the Spring Valley Golf Club in Elyria. How are you doing, Donald?
I'm doing pretty well, but I'm keeping my hands off a golf club today.
Good idea.
I'm going to save it. Yeah, I'm going to save it for another day. This is Pete Rademacher on my right. This is Ken Barr on my left. We have a big golf tournament coming up here at Spring Valley Country Club on August 7th. And that is the Nev Chandler Memorial Golf Tournament for the Cancer Society. And Ken's the chairman.
Yes,
and how are things going forward so far?
It's going real well. We're real excited this year. With the help of Channel 5 and you as honorary chairman, I'll tell you, we're coming along better than we ever have before.
Okay.
It's my 9th year running this tournament, and it's never been better.
We want a lot of people to get out here and participate, and if you don't, this guy will beat you up.
I'll be right on your case.
That's right. That's good. Because Pete Rademacher, for those of you who may remember back to, what, 1956?
Yes.
Yeah, the Melrose Games in Melbourne, Australia. And he won the gold medal as a heavyweight Olympic champion.
Thank you, Don.
And I think that, you've got that little ball marker with you, don't you?
And I use it for a ball marker sometimes.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And the guy always misses the next putt.
I bet he does. I bet he does. Good to see you again, Pete. Pete is the field director for all the golf tournaments throughout the state, right? You raise a lot of money for the Cancer Society.
I don't. The volunteers do. And we have 97 tournaments in Ohio this summer. Last year, the volunteers raised $1,400,000 from 92 tournaments. So I'm expecting bigger and better things from events this summer.
That's wonderful.
And they're all coming on stream.
Good. I want to talk a little bit about your boxing career, because after you won the gold medal...
I'll come back.
All right, good. Everybody else is. Why not? We need some nice guys back in the business once again. Your first professional fight was for the World Championship, wasn't it?
Yes, against Floyd Patterson, 9 months after I won the gold medal. I always dreamed that there's only one way to enter professional boxing, and let's start at the top and work your way down.
And you did.
And so Floyd won the heavyweight title by knocking out Archie Moore.
Yeah.
And then I fought him a year later.
Yeah.
So it was a wonderful experience. And then I went on 5 years, and I fought guys like George Chevallo, Carl Mildenberger, Archie Moore, Bobo Olson, just a host of others.
You didn't win the first one, but you won a lot after that.
I had a lot of fun. Yes, it was a terrific experience.
Good. And you came through with everything all together. And
well, they taught me how to move my feet, which moves your head, which means you evade all the punches.
That's the idea. That's the idea. Pete, it's wonderful that you participate. It's nice to see you once again.
Don, I'm so excited about what I do with the American Cancer Society. I work with volunteers all over the state of Ohio. And to see these wonderful people really put their shoulder to the oar and do a job with golf, for fighting cancer is marvelous.
Good. Nice to see you again.
Thank you.
Okay, Ken, we want to put a telephone number up on the screen right now.
There it is.
It is
324-2211, and we would love to have you participate in our tournament this year. It's one of the premier tournaments of the season. Please come out and join us.
Okay, fine. Let's have a quick look now at our weather, find out what's happening around the country and around the state, what we have to look forward to. And you can see now that all is clear over Ohio, and it's expected to stay that way for tonight and at least through tomorrow. And now we'll check and find out what's happening around the state. And it's just a beautiful evening. Everybody in the 60s and the 70s. The Lake Erie water temperature now up to 53 degrees. And our forecast looks like this. Boaters tonight. Winds on the lake out of the west at 5 to 10. Waves 1 to 3. The outlook now for tomorrow. Winds out of the west again 10 to 20. Waves 2 to 4 feet. Forecast is pretty good. Clear skies tonight. Westerly winds at 5 to 10 with a low of 45. And the outlook now for tomorrow. Sunny early in the day. A little bit of cloudiness coming in later. Winds out of the west at 5 to 15 and a high of 78 degrees. A beautiful day. The 5-day forecast looks like this. 78 tomorrow with partly cloudy skies. A chance of a shower on Sunday and Monday. 67 and 65 and back to mostly sunny skies on Tuesday and Wednesday. 65 and 66 degrees. So that's it for now from Spring Valley Country Club in Elyria. Hope you'll call that telephone number and help out the Cancer Society. Back to you in the studio.
Okay, Don. Thank you. Lee?
The battle against cancer is an ongoing struggle for those suffering from the disease, their families, and those searching for a cure. Relay for Life is trying to help the fight against cancer, while at the same time providing participants with some exercise. News Channel 5's Newey Scruggs joins us now live from the track at Tri-C West in Parma, and he is with our newest forecaster, Susan Davies. Good afternoon to both of you. Tell us about Relay for Life. How is it helping?
Lee, from 6 o'clock tonight till 6 o'clock tomorrow, the teams of 8 to 12 people are going to walk and run around this track for 24 straight hours, benefiting the American Cancer Society. It started in 1985 with a doctor who helped raise over $27,000. First year it's here in Cleveland. They hope to raise about $40,000. Susan, will the weather hold up?
Oh, no, I hope these kids behind us have some sunscreen on, because right now it is beautiful. Take a look at these children. They have their sleeping bags out there. They're going to do some camping here. And behind me, you have many organizations and companies that are going to be donating time, and they're going to be doing these laps, taking turns for the next 24 hours, as you heard. So it's going to be great fun. Definitely. Talk right now a little bit, Newey, about these kids with their rainforest.
This is our youngest team right here, Hilliard Elementary out of Westlake. Now, I'm going to put Paul on the spot here. Paul, can you hang in there for 24 hours?
Yeah, I can.
Oh, there you see it right here. These kids are going to have a tough night, but they're going to help benefit the American Cancer Society Relay for Life right here at Tri-C West Campus. Lee?
Looks like a fun event for everyone involved. Thank you, Dewey and Susan. We'll see you later.
Well, May is Foster Parents Month. In the Cleveland area, there's a great need for more foster families. Join Fagler this Sunday at 10 a.m. when he talks with the Executive Director of Children and Family Services and a woman who has cared for 70 foster children. And they'll answer questions about foster care and adoption.
In the old days, you had this thing that was going on in the family. Dad hits the kid. Dad takes the kid to the bar.
Right.
Now, I think you said the family just kind of dissolves.
Everything. It isn't a simple case of neglect. It isn't just sexual abuse. It isn't just that the child is abused. It's that that child may have lived in 10 homes in the last 10 nights.
Again, that's Fagler this Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Well, she's known to her millions of radio fans as Dr. Judy.
Coming up next, she'll join us live and answer the hottest questions of the 90s when Live on 5 returns. Dr. Judy Kuryansky, or Dr. Judy, as she is fondly called by her fans, is a clinical psychologist and sex therapist. She offers advice on love, relationships, and sex through her syndicated radio talk show, Love Phones. Her latest book, Generation Sex, answers today's most pressing questions about sex. And she joins us today. Welcome back to Live on 5.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Now, this book has been passed around the staff today, and everybody's been reading it. And you know, I was thinking back to when I was an adolescent. A book came out then called Everything You Ever Wanted to Know About Sex But Were Afraid to Ask. And at that time, it was a book parents were buying for their kids to just say, here, read this. this will answer your questions, I'm thinking, well, maybe this is sort of the 90s version of that book.
It is, and I really want parents to be able to open it up and talk to their kids, because the statistics show that even though we think we've been through the sexual revolution, less than 2 in 10 families talk about sex. So it's so critical. And after 25 years of being a psychologist and a sex therapist and doing 15 years of call-in advice talk on the air, it is astonishing to me, Lee, that people still have similar questions. Oh, I touch myself and I think something is nasty about it. Think of that word. So many girls are unhappy about their body and their breasts, and you have a very important story that I already saw that's coming up about breast, well, about that too, but about breast implants and the dangers of them. Yes. And there are so many young girls who are still worried that, oh, they're lopsided, they're not big enough, and concern about something being wrong with their body. They really need, I do so often encourage people to just say these exercises themselves, my body is beautiful, I love myself. It is so critical because we're so negative all the time. But people worry we're not having sex often enough. Boredom is still a major issue. Men are worried that they don't last long enough. And these are questions that existed then, and they still exist now.
Last time you were here, we were talking about how parents could talk to their children about sex.
Yes, you did that wonderful special.
And I think parents often find themselves in such a quandary because they want their children to be safe, but they're afraid what they might know. They're afraid to know what they might be doing. It's like they're afraid to talk about it, and yet they're afraid not to talk about it.
Yes, and actually what's really important is that there has been some research that was even done on love phones where graduate students interviewed kids who were, before they went on the air and afterwards, to find out, does talking about sex make kids do it? Because that's what parents are worried about. And the answer was no. Now, you can't stop kids who are going to go ahead and do it by battering them over the head and say, don't do this. What we have found is that open talking about sex makes them do it more safely, and that is what is so important, because less than half of college kids who are having sex use protection. That's horrifying to know that. Really upsetting. So talking about sex does not make them go out and do it.
In the book, there are occasional celebrities who act as sort of honorary love doctors.
Yes,
what have some well-known people had to say to you about a variety of topics?
Well, Sheryl Crow, who has been really a big star in the past year and won so many awards for her music, a lot of people know who she is, has advised people that if their parents disagree on who they're picking for their love partner, that they should try to talk it out, but ultimately they have to decide whether or not they have to follow their own desires. There are lots of male rock stars who have had threesomes, foursomes, fivesomes, and have come to the conclusion and advised that one person and a soulful connection with that one person after you've been through combinations is the best. Now, that's very reassuring because men's favorite fantasy is more than one. So I think women will be very happy to know that.
Judy, it's always fun to talk with you. And this is the book. It's called Generation Sex. You'll know it by its passionate purple cover. Judy Kiriansky, thank you so much. Good to see you again. Let's go back to Roy.
Thanks, Lee. 5 on your sides. Tom Merriman told us last night about a woman fighting a rare blood cancer while battling Medicare. Well, we've learned today that she passed away. Her emotional story when Live on 5 returns. Last night we told you the heart-wrenching story of Aurora's Mary Roseberry. She was the woman battling cancer who made the difficult decision to go forward with a bone marrow transplant even though Medicare refused to pay for it. Sadly, News Channel 5 learned this morning that Mary Roseberry has lost her battle with cancer. 5 on your side's Tom Merriman reports tonight on the courageous and loving fight Mary Roseberry and her husband Tom waged together.
We've just been married 10 years and we have a really good life, and then all of a sudden it's like, you know, the whole world just caved in on us.
I interviewed Tom and Mary Roseberry last March.
He insists.
They were fighting to put their world back together.
I feel about it.
But in addition to multiple myeloma, Mary had the added stress of deciding whether to go forward with a bone marrow transplant without Medicare coverage.
And I think I dumped it all on my husband's shoulders.
He's been pretty supportive in all
Very, very, very supportive. I think of I don't know what I'd do if he wasn't here.
She is my hero.
Why is that?
Oh, she's handled this so well. Her spirits are great. They really are.
After waiting to see if Medicare would change its policy to cover the transplant, Tom made it clear he wasn't going to let the possible $100,000 price tag get in the way.
The house is just almost paid for, but we get another mortgage if need be. And that's not going to stop us.
She's never quit.
No. No, she hasn't.
It doesn't sound like you're going to let her quit.
No, no. No.
Even if it costs $100,000.
That's right. That's a small part.
Unfortunately, a bone marrow transplant comes with no guarantees. Mary died of an infection while recovering from the procedure. Tom Roseberry is now left with loving memories of his courageous wife and the knowledge that he did everything he could to save her life. Tom Merriman, News Channel 5.
Mary Roseberry was 66 years old.
A woman is forced out of her home because she can't breathe the air inside.
Coming up next, 5 on Your Side's Ted Hart tells us about what this woman calls her house of horrors. Details when Live on 5 returns.
A North Olmsted woman says she is being denied the right to live in her own home. 5 on Your Side reporter Ted Hart joins us live from our 24-hour newsroom. And Ted, what is the trouble?
Well, Lee, if you've ever had your carpets cleaned, listen up. This is a story about chemicals, toxic chemicals used for carpet cleaning. Jane and David Lemire thought things were bad enough back on December 8th when their toilet backed up and raw sewage spilled all over the place. But once the carpet cleaning crew arrived, things got even worse for Jane. She says she asked what chemicals would be used and says that the crew told her not to worry.
I had a sore throat, an earache. I had many things happen. Very bad reaction to these chemicals.
And they used a lot of chemicals trying to get rid of, raw sewage. And so she was exposed to a massive dose.
I ended up going to the emergency rooms.
Jane spent 4 days in the hospital and was diagnosed with chemical bronchitis. It became very apparent that Jane could not go home. So ever since December, the Lemires have been living here at a hotel in Westlake.
It's horrible. You don't have anything that you normally have at touch. I had to rebuy clothing to just so that I wouldn't be coughing every day.
The Lemires hired an attorney and had the house tested. In addition to the chemicals normally found in carpet cleaning solutions, such as sodium hydroxide and phosphoric acid, the test also turned up evidence of pentachlorophenol.
This stuff should have never been used in the home. It's a bactericide, fungicide, slimicide, herbicide, insecticide, homicide. It kills people, too.
Now, Smith says the Lemires need close to $10,000 worth of cleanup at the house before Jane can move back in. Now, we contacted the carpet cleaning company ServPro. They are aware of the complaint, but they have no comment. Lee, Roy?
Thanks, Ted.
And thanks for joining us this Friday evening.
News Channel 5 at 6 is next. Good night.
Good night.
Cleveland Space Agency is trying to keep its feet firmly planted on the ground. NASA Lewis is making some massive cuts.
A 6th grade class is busy writing letters to keep a drunk driver behind bars tonight. Their teacher was his latest victim.
And a man accused of raping several women across Northeast Ohio says he's guilty.
News Channel 5 at 6 is straight ahead.
From News Channel 5, Cleveland's live 24-hour news source continues.
And we went through this around 1980 when they threatened Lewis with closing, and now here it is again.
NASA Lewis employees are blasting off tonight about major cuts being made at the Cleveland Research Center. Good evening, everyone. 1,500 civil servants and contractors will soon be out of jobs.
NASA says that the cuts are now necessary to meet White House calls for a $5 billion cut in space spending. News Channel 5's Jacqueline McLean was at NASA Lewis earlier today when they got the startling news. She joins us live now with the latest on this. Jackie, I'm afraid to ask, when will these cuts take place, and how much are these people reacting to this devastating news for themselves?
Well, Ted, the one good news is that these cuts will not happen overnight, instead by the year 2000. But officials here at NASA Lewis and in Washington are quick to point out that none of the proposals on the table now are written in stone. But any way you look at it, this research center here is suffering a lot more than many of the other NASA centers. If NASA gets its way, some of the airplanes sitting at Lewis will be shipped off to California. NASA Lewis officials plan to fight that. Officials here say they are playing a big part in the trimming process here at NASA Lewis.
We would like to structure Lewis for the agency rather than the agency structure Lewis.
Right now, 1,500 jobs are slated to be cut by the year 2000. 1,100 contractor jobs, 400 civil service. Longtime employees say they're tired of having to pinch pennies so Congress can save a few bucks.
At the same time, Congress is also looking at reducing our benefits for the retirees and for people retiring, so we're taking a double shot.
Many of the workers say it was political influence that got them through the last cuts in 1980. Representative Louis Stokes says if any centers do close, it will be the fault of the Republicans. He says they're the ones who are putting all of the NASA jobs in jeopardy.
They don't want to cut anything from defense. And instead of balancing the budget in a fair and equitable way, they want to balance the budget on the backs of the elderly by taking money out of Medicare, and they want to stop students from being able to get student loans. They want to balance the budget on the backs of those who are the neediest in our society.
Now, Ted, the bottom line tonight is that NASA Lewis here is suffering the second worst reduction out of all 10 NASA centers that will be taking cuts. And the threat still remains that if Congress does make more budget cuts, that some of the centers will be closed. But right now, the bright spot is that none of the NASA centers are scheduled to close.
Jackie, you said something very telling about a minute ago in your report. You said it was political influence that got us through the last scrape we were in, very gloomy times for NASA. What about this time? Won't there be some political clout from the Democratic side, even though the Republicans are in charge here, to help smooth some of the wrinkles out of this problem?
You know, Ted, I think it's going to be hard for the Republicans not to listen to what the people here are saying. Some of the workers we talked to said they just can't take it anymore. These are livelihoods. These are jobs. The money made out here feeds a lot of families. So the Republicans are going to have to think long and hard before they decide to put the axe on some of these centers.
And I understand they're worse, maybe yet to come, if our predictions turn out to be true, that NASA might close altogether in Cleveland. Jackie, thank you very much for your report.
What do a group of North Ridgeville sixth graders have in common with a prison inmate? Their teacher. News Channel 5's Kathy Davis